And what's next? You know, what do you do after that survival? You know what? Let's throw in a cheeky major potentially, because that's what they're fighting for here today. Whoever wins this is going to the major. The online major, that is. But yeah, it's going to the major. That's points. 6 invitational points. Potential 6 invitational coming up. Who would have imagined that if Tempra would be going to the 6th invitation after looking to be in a relegation spot for so long?
It's a surprise, for sure, and a welcome one, is how I think they're going to be viewing it. Obviously, that's the story of this league. That's the story of how things have kind of threaded themselves, and I guess, obviously, the saddest story to be told is the one of the team that's auto-relegated of Chaos. But even they, on their way out, admitted, yeah, we just weren't up to the standard of everybody else. It's not that, you know, we had bad luck or anything. It's none of that. It's at the end of the day, we unfortunately just, you know, we're the worst team. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, and that's the way it's gone as Tempra have kind of stepped up. Secret had a bit of a breath of fresh air a little bit earlier on, and that kept them a bit away from the danger drop zone. Obviously, Rogue had an absolute nightmare second split, and I don't think anyone would have predicted really the board being in this situation at this point in time. But hey, here we are. And I guess maybe I'm talking too soon, but Tempra, you versus G2, you in a situation to try and pull yourself up to that big, prestigious position of doing the entire reverse of what has suffered a lot of other teams.
Now, G2 banning out on that lion. A good counter ban against a team like Tempra often, well, basically rely on a lion when things go south. Not going to have that option now. They will have to, for example, use a Dokkaebi or a Jekyll now if they want to be able to give themselves some extra information to go for a final push, but it's not going to be quite the same as the active E1D that will be going over as soon as you're pushing and everybody that moves gets spotted out. You have to rely more on sound and on other options. Of course, they're on the defense first, so it won't be a worry for them for these coming 6 rounds. The worry instead will be, how do we keep G2 out of the building? How do we keep them away from our bomb sites and make sure that they're not going to get those plants in? Because that is the main difference between the G2 at the start of this stage and the G2 right now. They play for the objective and it works really well for them.
Oh boy, on a bit of a roam here for me, as I always like to do with this game, is to kind of put eyes towards Chaoxis. He always seems to be, at least from my point of view, the perspective of how the game is going for Tempra. Whether he's having a good game or a bad game, his ability to get into the opposing team and get around the map seems to be a success story. Look at this spread, though, and look at how it's leading. Maestro on a bit of a deep roam, and P4 finding Citizen 2. Well, they did not expect that, and to be honest, why would you?
Wicked 10 from G2 made, but completely shut down as Kento and Citizen fall. You know, finds himself in tier 3 and might be able to work himself a way down as Pengu right now to get it with Virtue's looking to clear out as the door just got barricaded up. Kill comes in quickly from Pengu, swaps her way to meeting. Probably a cam gave away that information. You have a big sniper rifle to open up these barricades with at one go. You might want to go for as a kill, but no one will be peeking yet. Oh, there's a hand and there is a body. It's not going to be able to land a shot onto Chaoxis though.
Well, obviously you got to look at the situation where their hard destruction is limited, but they do still have ace. And that is often, you know, you'll see a lot of teams only really run one hard destruct on this site, so they still have the control of what they need. With the hatches open and angles being able to be opened down, it seems more steady from this point on for G2. But with a minute 20, this time is only going to keep ticking for as long as it ticks, and they're hoping that someone swings into their firing line. Here's some aggression, here's some split, and here's Virtue taking over and saying, here, hold this here. And he says, all right. And he almost gets a kill out of it, drops Chaoxis to a side and a sliver, but Pengu is the one that's now going above.
Chopping over to the SMG9, spots out an evil eye, but it will catch one of the lances by the magnet that was down there. Of course, it will eventually remove it, but has to be careful for this potential push to come in. Does a little bit of damage to Void, nothing too big, about 20 HP with the SMG9. More where my discs are going off. The smoke canister will be deployed, and that will be covering off that Selma that just got tossed in to create an angle towards Void. Uno finds one onto P4 as well, and suddenly we're back into a 3-on-3 situation. Make that a 3-on-2 situation as Uno is inside and managed to pick up 2 kills. Shinka, however, responded to Pengu, came down to blue. It's all up to Uno now. In a 1v2, is he going to be able to make this clutch happen? Is he going to be able to get that first kill round into the hands of G2, or will Tempra reign supreme?
Well, he's looking for his way straight into the site, flashes out, drops the corner, but can't quite see anybody. Looks down long to see if anybody's looking there, but no. Tempra are playing themselves quietly for now. They know they don't need to swing on. It's 5 seconds left. He's still got to stick the diffuser or find 2 kills. They do not have to overstretch or overstress, and, well, the timer ticks out. Chaoxis ends up locking it down the round into the back of Uno. It was built upon a surprise strike. 2 bodies dropped in the opening 30 seconds on the other side of the map to where the site was. Well, G2. Let's see if you're a little bit more awake after that.
Tried to go for a quick play. It backfired. But let that be a lesson. It is still Oregon. It is still a defense side of map. Could expect about 4 rounds to go over to the defense. And that gives you, as an attacker, room to do something experimental. Especially on the first 2 bomb sites, as those are statistically the most likely you will lose them. And if it doesn't work, well, then you know that for the next round you can try something else. Just make sure you're going to get 2 rounds in, at least in the half, and then you're good for the remainder of that matchup.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Pop-ups there. Look at those delicious tweets. Heading to dorms. Popping our way upstairs, and I'm curious to see if Tempra go as wide and bold with their hold, because surely that kind of movement momentum won't work twice.
Okay, I don't hear Fluke anymore. I'm not sure if she's still there.
And as I start to question whether Hap has disappeared from the face of the earth, I guess I'll keep talking. They've opened themselves up a bit of a rotation here into tower. They're looking at trying to hold it from a slightly different situation and position. So, will we see a little bit more of a difference in positioning and play here? Now, and again, as we start to see angles held. And it's a slow and steady approach now, and I hope production's muted Hap and kept me live, because Hap's the one that's accidentally dropped out. Waiting seems to be the game, and I'm just going to take over and hope they have muted Hap now. Okay, so if we're talking over each other, it'll just be me from this point on. Sorry about that. Does. And P4 holding the 2 angles and waiting for the push. Citizen on the far side is able to start open up at it. They have the angles, the idea, and, well, they're going to start burning those ADSs, leading to the frag grenade over the shoulder of Sledge. This is going to be the start of the push. 3 of them double down to make sure that they can get through all those ADSs, but this is the important throw. The yeet that can really yoke their position into the start of this round as they go to collapse towards Chaoxis and, well, definitely get the Melusi. Chaoxis is fine standing and is going to pull a couple of steps further back to make sure he doesn't get bounced round as Citizen tries to apply the pressure onto the armory side, backing up Pengu inside. Citizen's drone and another gets dropped. They're losing intel fast, but look at the conditions that they've set themselves up for. They have walk-in control, they have the bedroom, and they have themselves a bit of a solid hold for Virtue to start trying to open this. With those Selma charges, more explosions, more sightlines, and more angles are being opened up. But nobody is immediately inside dorms to suffer the consequences. Now, Voy is creeping in and making sure that he can get rid of those Selmas from the top of White Stairs, but is concerned about the rotation. 2 Lesions, and Melusi is going to stop anyone getting even a little bit closer as they still try and apply some pressure, but with a minute left, they haven't been able to find a single body. Just shepherd all of the Tempra players into a very tight corner and corridor across the main dorms and kids' dorms itself. Another charge gets blown up. Another charge finds itself in a difficult situation as does look in the firefight, and the smoke canister pops on the opener of the entrance. Pengu, no way through. As of yet, it's the first of 3, and they're going to probably lob the second in just a second. Shinker is concerned about swinging over, as there obviously is the possibility of getting picked up from the watch through cement. Now then, 20 seconds. Every player still on the board. So late in the game, the first finally falls. They find their way through and they get the trade as they dig themselves in, but Attic is starting to fall as well. Durs are locking them in. They're going to try and stick the diffuser in amongst the chaos. Citizens holding the angle and nobody's swinging on it. They don't seem to know. Void just shows up at the last second, but Pengu gets the eyes, and the idea is the only one left though. As he goes and tries to gun, he is unfortunately shut down. Now, I'm just going to very quickly check and see the position of what else is going on. I believe they're trying to get us into another place to have this conversation. For now, I'll just gently talk and make sure that everything's done, but excuse me if I'm not truly talking about what's on screen for just a moment, as I find myself back into the waiting arms of my duo, who is unfortunately separated from me, though maybe that's fortunately for some other people. 2 rounds in a row, 2 rounds in a situation now where we're looking at, obviously, Tempra hitting this running. We've been talking about the history of Tempra. We've been talking about how good they've been recently, how solid they've been, and how they've been able to kind of build themselves back up from not being a success story beforehand. Hello.
Reunited at last. Oh, I can hear. Hello.
I'm going to mute in Discord.
That is understandable. But hey, I'm back. I'm having some difficulties, but we are here.
Were you taught?
G2 Tempra?
I'm hoping they muted you before. I guess I'll never
Muted
know.
me for what? I didn't talk. Don't worry. I was just being quiet because I realized what was going on. So we're not talking over each other. I was being quiet. But yeah, 2-0 right now. Tempra managing to. I've totally not seen the second round. I'm not sure if you can fill me in quickly because I was trying to fix the issue I had.
Yes, I can. G2, they were able to clear space but left the push till very late, as is the current trend in this meta at the minute, and they just couldn't quite dig their way into a Tempra player. So when it came time for the Tempra Spring that had been pushed all the way back into the Duke in the box in the corner of dorms, well, there was just more Tempra kind of versatility and aggression to be able to pick the frags that they needed to. An unfortunate moment for G2, and again, Tempra have hit the ground running.
Right. You catch up. 2 minutes left on the clock. And G2 still trying to drone out. We're on the cherry bomb site right now. This is the attack. Before I got disconnected, I was talking about that you need to win, considering you need to have 2 at least. The question is, will they be able to get it? Because right now, they need to make some ground. They need to get the top floor control. Still Durza and Chaos is playing. Their Citizen is already in the bunk beds up top. I'm not sure if that got spotted out. So they're trying to get themselves in between these 2 players on the top side of things. And if they succeed in doing so, they might be able to pick up a quick double kill here in the likes of G2.
As they hold angle and try and lock down again, they might find themselves in a similar situation to before, as they were a bit slow and steady. Chaoxis is going to be potentially the lock-off here. There he is, and there he goes, but he somehow, Durza is the one that's able to find one back down the stairs, and Shinka gets one of his own. Somehow, in and amongst it yet again, Tempra have just been able to strike against the G2 that's seemingly a bit slow and a bit too tempered. And, well, it's suffering them again. Kanto round the corner, another Tempra player just pops up out of nowhere.
Now he's in a 2v3 situation here as Pangu is going on the hunt for another one. He's not going to be able to land that kill, for he manages to survive, but just barely. But with that, turns it into a 1v3 situation, a situation that Tempra have a good opportunity with, as they start out so strong right here in Oregon. They're probably going to be able, there we have it, that is the trio that's coming in. Tempra are leading with a huge margin. They are 3-2-0 up. If they manage to win this game, I'm going to remind every single one of you, they will go to the major instead of G2.
That's it. I mean, that's obviously a lot of the kind of weight that we've had in our games today. We've always been looking at the possibilities of all of these teams have something to play for generally today. All of these all of these games have some weight in and amongst the way that they're going to be played against each other. And you know, some of these teams have been on the up and up, and Tempra, they're the kind of main one out of all of this. And I think that's one of the things about their team and their roster as well, is because Secret's return and response on the phase was so good, and Rogue's was so kind of shockingly bad that Tempra went a little bit under the radar. They've steadily been building over the past few games, and it's built to a very good record, whereas Secret's last 4 or 5 games have generally all been losses.
All right, G2, are you going to be able to get any of your attacks lined up now? You need to find 2. There's only 3 more rounds. left to try and get them. That is the struggle. The gap seems to be closing with every single second that passes for them to put up a good half here. And yes, we've seen them do 5-1 reverse sweeps this season. The question is, how often can you do that? You want to be ahead of that curve. You want to make sure that you buy yourself enough buffer that as soon as you go over to that defense, first of all, you still have an opportunity to win. That means that you need to get at least one round, otherwise you're going for a draw. And if this becomes a draw situation, then we might get to see another team to go to the major. I'm not completely sure. I have to quickly look that up to try and find out. But yeah, you don't want to draw. You want to win, and both these teams want that. So they definitely need one round on the likes of G2.
In the move over to here, we did forget medics, so we'll hopefully be getting him in soon. He is currently observing blind, so if he doesn't react to our calls, he's obviously, unfortunately, slightly disconnected from us. He'll be here sooner rather than later, and then we'll be able to have all of the specific calls. So for now, we'll just have to play it as we go. Uno, watching the big tower. Now, something that I keep seeing and keep noticing about G2 is they're going at it with the slow and steady approach that on other games has been very successful for them. We've seen them be able to pull stuff together, and we've seen them be able to have some pretty solid games. They're able to, for the first time, catch that first kill. Chaoxis goes down. Now, this is the kind of trade-off. The slow and steady before wasn't really working for them. Okay, they were able to pull a kill early, or they were able to pull a kill successfully before, but it was then instantly hit back by a 2K. They lost as the pressure was put back against them. Here's a situation for the first time where their slow and steady has led to a kill.
Say that indeed a draw would be good enough to get the major here for G2, considering they have the head-to-head over Na'Vi, meaning that if G2 will be ending up at 14 points after draw, it's the exact same points Na'Vi have right now, they would be moving up. So for G2, a draw or a win confirms their major. For Tempra, that is just the win, and that is exactly what they're going to be going for right here. P4 using an impact doesn't seem to be heard by Uno, and it continues to descend these stairs, but P4 doesn't seem to know. So on the other side here we have it, moves in, gets that kill, and decides to move back up the tower stairs as Kenta picks up a kill into Doza. So we keep the roam active. Citizen tries to respond onto Shinka. There is that 1 minute advantage, but there's only 2 drones left on the sides of J2 as Boy picks up a kill onto Citizen. We find ourselves in a 3v3 situation again, and look at P4. P4 still on the roam, still on the prowl, and he's going to be picked up eventually. Kento picks him up, and this is probably the best situation G2 have found themselves in this game so far.
Now, 20 seconds, though, we find ourselves in this do-or-die situation. Last time they were able to push themselves onto the site, but before that, we've seen them struggle every single time with the dying throws. The success story that they are trying to write is written upon digging in at the right time, but Shinka's there to strike in his time of his own. Boy creeps up and hears the audio, and oh no! Things are starting to slip through their fingers and get into the sudsy storm of this laundry. Tempra somehow yet again pull around. This time yet again the story of G2 is underlined by that worry of 2 things. 1, not quite hearing when things are going on. Obviously we saw the Ash go by, it happens. 2, that deadly, deathly timer that yet again has bit them.
Again, the timer indeed. The smoke was given a false sense of security for the planter, who went in with all confidence that that would have been the right choice to make, but there was still a cheeky boy hiding amongst that smoke, able to put up a couple of rounds into that diffuser, making sure it gets dropped again and resetting that timer, meaning that Tempra were the ones that managed to get the upper hand out of it. And that means that right now on 4-0, and imagine Fluke, they were fighting for relegation ever since the start of stage 1, because they were in the middle of the pack, you know, around 7th or 8th place. Of course, it's not directly relegation, but they quickly found themselves there in stage 2 when, well, Secret managed to make an incredible comeback compared to what they did before after their roster changes. And then Tempra, they were fighting for survival. They got a draw and they got a win in, then another one, and now they are here fighting to go potentially to the major. Something Secret failed to do as they, well, lost their game against Empire. Tempra have the opportunity to do it. They have the opportunity to outdo Secret this season as well. They're hoping to make it happen. It would be so deserved for them. It would be a great well, reward for their comeback, really, for the way that they managed to hold on and they kept fighting, making sure they would not relegate.
Now, G2, what are you going to do differently here? This, for all intents and purposes, the round where Hap had disappeared was one where everybody was alive. Until the final 20 seconds, they were shepherding, but not quite catching the sheep. And, well, you need to be able to tag them and bag them if you want to have any solidity in your actual final push. Okay, we saw it just fail before, but it was the start of something, the build of something where we kind of still need to see this finished product. Now, still steadily droning and trying to grab all the intel that they can, opening up Attic before they start their pinch from the opposite side. All attention is focused as the other, as they wait for this, and pop that mute, gone. Chaoxis is on the far side with an ADS, and a lot of Wamai's there to burn anything that gets thrown. They know the game that's played. Look at the roam here, though. Around Kitchen is dangerous. White stairs, too. They have the flexibility to pop up if they need to, but instead they're going to pop down. See if they can find anyone underneath and probably push up tower stairs. They were attacked by surprise last time. What's the chances that they can do it again?
Before having the basement in his complete control, is going to be able to pop up wherever he wants. He could go up the armor stairs, the white stairs, or even flank up on the tower whenever he feels fit and necessary. There is no drone currently giving away that game. Pengu is checking out the top floor. Uno will now join into the master bedroom most likely, or decides to go for classroom. But if he does, that might be a dangerous game. So instead, decides to try out the drone, see if classroom is clear, gets a ping onto the shield, and well, has to find out whether or not someone is on the main stairs, but won't do that. And now he's going to be shooting up that breaching round. Has to move out with P4 staying patient. He's not peeking. He's not overstaying his welcome. However, we'll blow that C4. That gives away to Pengu that someone is instead in that basement. And that means they're probably going to be hunting him as well.
P4, it's back under, back moving, and there's a drone. There's the game. Oh, back under, back moving. You have the options of all the places you want to go because they're keeping you busy, sure, but they're not keeping you under control. And that's the big worry at this moment in time because a loose Tempra seems to be a destructive Tempra. There's the first kill. Goes in the favor of Virtue with 20 seconds more than they had before, but it's still not a huge amount of time as Voy takes care of Kantorakari and gets him out of the equation. That's 2 frag grenades potentially off the board. I'm not sure if they were used before, but either way, they won't be used now. Looking for the close corners and looking for the swing in. Blood splatters the walls, but you need to splatter a little bit more, and there it is. The swing and the trade goes down. 2 more bodies and a third to meet them as they look in the final 14 seconds. Pengu is stuck in a position, but with a flicker of health, he's going to try and get the diffuser down. Uno wants to get control of Attic, but can't quite make it work. Yet again, we find Pengu in a 2 versus 1 in this situation. Yet again, we find him low on time. This time, however, he's able to get 1. Can't quite see the second. They've run. Looped away, and the timer ticks again.
As soon as he managed to get 1 kill there, Fluke, you saw the last member Void dropping down the hatch and Attic, not having any of that, just rotating his forward down as potentially could, just to make sure there is no time. And that leaves us at a 0-5 right now. Tempra are on absolute roll right here, and if they manage to pick up 1 more round, then they at least have that draw. But it's not enough. They need a win here to go to the major, Fluke. They need that win. They need the 7 rounds. Otherwise, it will be G2. There is no question about it. And so far, they're doing quite well because, well, while Tempra has 5 rounds, G2 still has 0. And this is their last opportunity to try and get a bit of a buffer for when they get onto the defense themselves. Because that is what they're building for here. Because they want to have a flawless defense. Well, it's, you know, not always going to be happening. So you at least want to have 1 or 2 attack rounds so you can, you know, save up a bit. Make sure that if you make a mistake, it's not immediately the end of the game. Because if this goes to 0-6 and G2 slip up only once, then it's over. Then Tempra will be going to the major after an incredible comeback during stage 2. They didn't look strong coming out of CL, but they definitely have been improving over the season so far. And I said it the last 2 rounds, but I'll say it again. It would be so rewarding for the work they've done.
G2, bit of a tough situation right now, no 2 ways about it, because it just seems a little bit like Tempra are that pace above. It's not that they've really been misstepping, it's that seemingly they just can't quite get a handle on these dang slippy Tempra players who keep finding themselves into these situations where they're either looping up behind G2 and missing them out and catching them out, or they're escaping, as we saw in that previous round, and just getting a little bit out of the reach of the G2 players. Pepper's bullets towards Dorms, and nobody is immediately affected. Unfortunately, they went for the clear up here before and lost a body or two in the kind of duration and trade of it. To only be able to pick up one and Chaoxis before, they're going to play it a little bit more cautiously. But yet again, look at P4. I believe all the way off towards the tower stairs and waiting around Harry Potter, finishing the novel and then probably ready to strike above when the moment hits.
All right, 2 minutes left. The last attack that G2 is going to be able to pull off today. There is no overtime. There's only these 12 rounds, and that means that they have to make it count now, and otherwise they will find the consequences of it. It's Foy in the meantime that will be trying to fall back towards the freezer stairs, going low on HP, just one to complete the remainder of the round with. Leaves Chaoxis alone on the top floor. He's now going to get flashed. There is an Excaris coming in as well from the bedroom that might create an angle. As Chaoxis now gets spotted out, he's going to be trying to get the kill onto Uno, but he will fail to do so. He will go down. A bit of damage will be returned, but the Citizen just runs into the showers and gets the kill onto Durza. Brings it into a 5-on-3 situation. A very big advantage here for G2 considering Foy's HP is still on 1. B4 rotating around as well. How much can he do from this position? How much can he do from the meeting split to the likes of G2? Is he going to be able to rotate back up? Is he going to be able to do the damage he wants? Because otherwise we might find ourselves with a round in G2's hands.
Well, this is a bit of pace that we haven't really seen before from them, and well, Shinka shuts down Citizen with the shotgun. Uno suffers a sliver of damage. They're getting the drone and controller split. P4 pops a C4 to make sure he can get out of there, but he doesn't quite make it all the way. Dropped as he tried to escape split. Shinka, the only one left, 40 seconds, and we've seen Vertical be a little bit costly here, but it's going to actually pay the price, as Kenta Raketti is the one that suffers. Pengu has the time to drop the diffuser and get it sorted. Oh, no. Cleanly cut out of the way by Shinka, but it's a 2 versus 1, and they know where he is. They know exactly the positions that they can hold to keep themselves a bit safer. Shinka's going to see if he can strike at 1 before he needs to head all the way down. Can't quite find them, can't quite lock them down. Has to drop the diffuser to make sure, the drone even, to make sure they don't know entirely where he's at. The hatch is open. You assume Pengu's going to get the drop, and he does. G2. Well, it's not a flawless 6-0 half, at least.
It's not the flawless 6-0 indeed. Not so flawless half coming in after a very good round here of G2, but almost brought back by the one man of Tempra. But the statement still stays. 1 or 2 slip-ups of G2. And Tempra might just take it away right here because they have been the team that is on top of this matchup right now. And it's another 1-5. Last time they were here, G2 managed to pull the reverse comeback. I believe that was against Na'Vi. Let's see if they can do that again. Can they pull the reverse sweep? Can they make this into a win or a draw? Because that will be enough as well to qualify. 5 rounds. All they need. Just 5 rounds.
See, I like it's easy.
Easy.
Easy. No, it's Medics is observing.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry.
Medics eventually, apparently he could hear us and could hear me, even though he wasn't in the place where we're talking. And then he called me a mean name. After we shouted out happy birthday to his boy Nello Elliott's down this room. Happy birthday, Nello.
He tagged us for it on Twitter, actually.
I know.
He sent a tweet with a clip, and he's like, thank you guys for watching. Wholesome moments.
So, G2, let's see how you fare when you have the danged timer on your side. Obviously, so many of those rounds came down to that final 20 seconds. Yeah, I know it's the meta at this moment. You don't have to remind me. It's one of those things where it is heavy, but that means that it gives us something to look at. It gives us the idea of if G2 are playing around this meta, if G2 weren't playing the hyper aggro we've seen some from other teams before, then I guess we'll have a breakdown of, you know, how is it going to be when they are playing with it in their favor, in their defense? Is it going to be built around and structured around similar kind of aspects? And Tempra, whose team has been pretty mobile and aggro on their defenses, is that going to translate to their attacks? A style of attack where they don't really find themselves battling that timer. Depends. Let's see how it descends on this tower staircase as they instantly try and push their way through.
Tempra trying to waste no time right here. 40 seconds and already on the back stairs, hoping to be pushing into pillars soon. Dozer takes control of the meeting and Citizen has to fall back into the freezer. And that means that all members of G2 will be near the side. Of course, there's an opportunity for them to slip out if they feel lucky and want to actually go for a flank. It seems like some quick openings will be into place, and a good frag for P4 to start things off. Was perfectly read what Uno tried to do right there. The pre-fire came in, gets taken down. Pengu puts up a shield to try and, well, put some flex tape onto the wall, really, as it gives you another opportunity to play behind. But the opening is there, and that might be exactly what Tempra need to lock in this first attacking round.
Minute 35 and the time is still ticking, but with the body off the board, as you said, it's Wamai. It's a costly bit of utility that will no longer be paid the price of throughout the round as the drone gets thrown. Looking for the close corners and finds them. Isn't going to ping it just yet. Saw the ADSs though, so knows it can't just be an easy swing round. There is the gun on the left-hand side. They'll be aware of it because that's the one who shot the drone. But the Jaeger pushed up and was unaware of the body coming from Blue Pengu. The one who got the drone was able to get the man as well and pushes up and replaces the dead body inside. But now it's a 3 versus 2 and they have a minute on. This is what I was talking about. If you're looking at a team that pushes hyper aggro, they can sometimes get the strike quite early on. They still have a lot left to do though. They still have a lot of defenses left to break their way through it and how quick they can be to adapt here. Pops the flash round and goes for the big rotation to Laundry as they set themselves up for 2 on one side and 1 on the other. They're going to try and pull apart the 2 remaining defenders and put them in a tricky situation. In fact, they've gone with 3 different angles. 1 in Freezer, 1 on Laundry, and 1 on the tower stairs as well. They are putting a little bit of a risk here and they've got to make sure that it pays off.
Virtue now has the opportunity to peek into the Laundry stairs, managed to get that 1 kill, knows 1 will be in Laundry and in the Freezer as well. I mean, as Pengu picks up on P4, suddenly it's a 1v2 situation here. Keoxys is all alone. The man advantage was there for Tempra, but they've spread themselves too thin. The diffuser is dropped now. The players of G2 are as well with only 14 seconds left on the clock. It is very unlikely that Keoxys is going to be able to find both these kills here. Sweeps around, manages to pick up 1, and now knows that the last player will be on the top floor, but he's right above the hatch. So even if he manages to get a plant down, he will be lost. The Banshee will make sure that he's not going to be able to move up to the stairs and go back in time either. And that means G2 are starting their comeback. Even though the round looked quite grim from the start with Uno dropping, they managed to bounce back. Tempra spread themselves thin on their attack when it was a 3v2 advantage, and they made good use of that. They took the 1v1s that were handed to them because of the mirror window, for example, and they made the best out of it. They got the round, and that's all they needed.
Gotta hand it to obviously the 2 remaining players. The questions I have there for Tempra are, you're in this situation. Obviously, you're in this 3 versus 2 situation. You know roughly where the remaining 2 are based on the comms of who's been dropped and what's happened. Instead of setting themselves up for, any 2 versus 1, they went for the pinch from 3 different angles. Okay, maybe they didn't know that the laundry door was softed in that situation, and maybe they didn't know that Freezer had the angle open and the mirror window was there. That's just maybes. That's the stuff that we'll never really truly know unless you're sat in the team comms. Either way, yeah, it was tight and the window was short, but it did hand what was a 3 versus 2 situation into 1 versus 1 situations. It broke everything down. 1 perfect strike there from the man, the myth, the legend, the Pengu. And he neutered themselves up into a situation where, for once, the timer was working onto their favor. 5-2, the gap is slightly less wide, but they still have a lot of work left ahead of them.
Attempted spawn kill to come through. Citizen not succeeding. Not a single point of damage being done to Tempra. And now goes for a secondary spawn peek. Also not a single point of damage done. Durza survives. And look what operator he's playing. He's playing onto the MRU. And now I'm questioning, what will it be used for? Will it be used to swing quickly into the bedroom? Or, no way. Durza.
Do it.
Okay, this is a push. This is a very quick rush coming in. Surely they have a drone on site. They know exactly what will be clear, but there is a Prisma right there. So as soon as Amaru will fly through, she will be spotted out. They know exactly what's going to be going on right now because here you have it. Hot pings coming in. Virtue will be taking a bit of damage right here. Shinka will be going down for the plants as Void gets taken down. 45 seconds will soon be on the clock, but this is a very quick take here from Tempra. And the question is, will Uno land his C4 in time? Here it comes. Will pick up 1 kill, but not the one that they needed because, well, we have still Shinka alive. Keoxys as well. And Shinka will be able to pick up yet another kill. That's a fake call to come through because surely they thought it was going to be clear and they knew the plant was down there, but it's in a 3v3 situation with 1 member still on the bomb and another kill comes through. P4 able to land it. Pengu and Uno now need to bring it back, and otherwise it might be looking pretty grim for them.
Well, it's Amaru in the hands of a French team seems to be leading to less success as they dig themselves in. Pengu, yet again, you find yourself in a 3 versus 1 situation in dorms, and yet again, unfortunately, it goes away from you. Tempra. it took a lot of courage, a lot of chutzpah, a lot of balls to pull off that, and you did all the way through the cover, the communication, the pace. In the words of the Eyes in the Sky medics, and agreed by Dev Marder, this is obvious preparation for G2. This is homework done, this is research, and this is someone who just got an A+ on the test.
That is definitely one of the cleanest rushes I've seen, and I just have to give them prep for it. Beautifully played out. They managed to get that plan down. One person got killed by the C4, so they thought the plane was dead. They just didn't expect it to be a second person on site, and that is how they lost one more member. And that was basically when the retake was, not going to be happening anymore. And G2 now find themselves back against the wall. They need 4 rounds in a row if they want to make it to the major. Well, Tempra just need 1 anywhere in these next 4 rounds, and they would make it. They would be going to the major over G2, joining the potential list of 6 invitational contestants.
Tempra. A lot more chances to do. G2, well, quite a lot that you've got to try and bring back here. You have been blindsided by the pace of the French team that are up against you today, and hey, you got to give them credit. I know we're giving it enough, but their growth this season, this split, has just been above and beyond, really, compared to a lot of teams. They're looking for an entirely different push, an entirely different approach here, as they start underneath and dig their way up the tower's stairs, led by Iana, who's going to try and find someone before the device disappears, and they do. There's the close fire, there's the swing, and there's Uno caught fleeing. They maybe didn't expect such coordination and pace there between the Ashe and Iana, and, well, unfortunately it's led to their demise. It was a very different approach and push here, but Voi's drone, that does catch Citizen. The slight turn gave the game away now. He knows he was being watched, he can hear the slight shuffling, and he's just going to get out of there.
Getting out, a Citizen has the opportunity to go for a flank maybe a bit later on, still finds himself onto that first floor, as a mute jammer there will be stopping no longer, as we saw Ashe charge being shot for below. That means the Excaliburs now will go off. Citizen is on the flank, he's on the hunt right here. He needs to pick up some kills because they lost Uno. You need to bring back this number count, and that's often what happens. As soon as you lose that first member, teams often go a bit more aggressive elsewhere, just to try and find yourself an entry, just to try and find yourself a possibility to survive. And G2 right now will be doing that more so than ever, because they are with their backs up against the wall. They cannot afford to lose a single round anymore. They need to bring this back, and they need to bring it back now, because in 60 seconds-ish, this execute of Tempra will start. And, well, as soon as that diffuser is going down again, how much are you going to be able to stall it?
Now the approach comes through a minute on. They've yet again got the opener body here against Uno, and Pengu's close to trying to swing round. Has been the consistent force stopping and stuttering Tempra. Shoots the wrong way again. Doesn't quite catch them. Very well played from Durza to realize the concerns that someone might be popping out and just get to a new angle of safety. That leaves Pengu stuck in walk-in until there's any support to come through. He wants to try and go somewhere, but really he's just stuck waiting for an eventual firefight here. That keeps 2 bodies, though, in that situation. So depending on how this starts to break down on the opposite side, Voy does damage to Kanto. Is just going to get out the corner and find a little bit of safety, but Durza is actually the one suffering against Pengu on walk-in.
The damage being done, Durza quite low. Voy will go down. Kenta picks up that kill. Now Pengu needs to follow up with the next one. Otherwise, it might go back into Tempra's favor, but it's going to be Citizen that manages to pick up a kill. Then Pengu follows up as well. Kioxis goes down. It's all up to P4 now in a 1v4 situation. Will be flanked from the back, and that means G2 get yet another round. Starting that comeback. They only need 3 more rounds to go to the major. We're counting down for both these teams. The question is, who will reach their mark first?
There's a lot on in this game. There is a lot on. There is a lot weighted and a lot weighed for both these teams, and both of them in their own ways deserve to get this spot. And, you know, when you started the game, you would have said G2 had the easier run, and then Tempra went and ran all over Oregon and put themselves on this map point. And as I said, you look at Pengu on the 12-5, he is desperately trying to claw and keep the team grabbed onto the possibility of going. And you know, with the other splits and the way things have gone, it's just Tempra. They stepped up the tempo and the pace and really brought themselves into this. Laundry and supplies where we're going to change to, and Uno's going to pick to the clash. Obviously, we've seen Uno be dropped a couple of times first, unfortunately. Hasn't been able to dig into this game as much as they sometimes can, so hopefully this will allow them and alleviate them to play a slightly different role. Take a bit of the pace out of what Tempra want to apply and see if they can get some more solidity around themselves in the site.
Rotations being made, and they're being made on like a little bit bigger than average. Normally we'd only go for a crouch or vault hole. This time they will be completely walkable due to the fact that, of course, the Clash will be playing and will have to potentially move through with that shield. And the least you want to have is getting stuck in a situation like that when time is of the essence as the defenders. Making sure everything is properly prepped and can be used by Uno. Mirror windows being set up just to take care of a potential push from the freezer. Might see the second one going towards Laundry. Otherwise, they will potentially go towards the back stairs. So there's two opportunities there for the second mirror window. But what is going to be most important now is how will this clash play out? Is the clash going to be able to stall out enough time of Tempra? Or will Tempra completely ignore it, play around it, use the stuns and whatever they can find as they get the first kill onto Kento? Yet again, an entry here for Tempra. But I said this before in a previous cast, Flute. They find it so often, but they don't always translate it into rounds, however, like other teams do.
Well, let's see if they can transform this again. Obviously, they're able to get the early pick last time they were down here. And then, well, Laundry started and eventually slipped into the favor of G2. For me, it was still a confusing and slightly puzzling decision of the split. But again, you don't really know what was going on unless you're in the team comms itself. So it could be a very different situation. Now, as we start to see the approach into the firing line and the fire, let's see if they can dig themselves and try and lock into the match itself. The hatch goes. They're well aware of the bodies being pushed further back, and we can see Citizen and Uno doubling down. Pengu still locked in blue, but so far currently no pressure as of yet. Uno is looking to see if they can find a dig in and a pick of anybody that's getting close. Obviously, we saw the phase 2 last time after they got the first kill from the stairs was blue, was the entrance there. So it makes sense that they're still keeping an eye on it. But Tempra, yeah, here it comes, finally.
We have it. Gemini Replicator will be going in and we'll try and get some information, but will instantly be taken down right as it peeks the doorway, meaning not much was actually being bought here. Uno still on elbow, wasting some time, being present and putting pressure down onto the members of G2, onto Tempra, I mean. As B4 gets stacked up just a little bit. Smoke canisters now flying out. There's 2 left. Stuns are coming in. They know where one member is. Durza gets yet another kill. This might mean the end of G2 and their major dreams. As it is coming down to these last 40 seconds. This could be the potential last round to come in. As Durza swings around yet again and picks up his double kill. It's up to Pengu and Uno now. The 2 men have to make this clutch happen. And there's 30 seconds on the clock that they might use to their advantage. That is the one tool, the one ally they have here. Because there's no more utility left. As the bomb goes down, 45 seconds will be left. Are G2 able to make this comeback happen? Is Uno able to make this comeback happen? Because he's all alone now.
Well, we said he was the player who hadn't quite been able to find his way into this game, and now he's got to find his way through the biggest eventuality possible. Finally, takes care of the Zafia. It's 2 bodies down, but 3 still left to go. 1 out on blue. Looks to try and do the shield spin on the body that he knows where it is, but is concerned about, well, exactly that. The crossfire leads to success. Tempra lead to 3 points, and wow, what a story the Tempra fans and social media can write home about phase 2.
Tempra with an absolute miracle run to come in here. They managed to fight themselves out of the relegations. They have managed to fight themselves up to the major. And now they will be here. They will be coming up in the November major. They have the opportunity to go to 6 Invitational as well. And if they manage to make it, if they manage to